Remarks, Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is a fantastic amendment, and I urge you to vote yes. This is about using Washington state transportation dollars for the capital costs of an Oregon transit organization. You might be scratching your head, Madam Speaker, on why Washington would be paying the capital costs of a transit organization in another state. I'm referring to the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. It is the largest public works project in the history of the state of Oregon and one of the largest in the history of the state of Washington. The $7.5 billion proposed current cost of the project includes $2 billion for the transit component. That transit component is a 1.8-mile light rail extension of an existing Portland light rail line that will come 4,350 feet into the state of Washington. The price tag for that 1.8-mile light rail extension is $2 billion. That is over 1/4 the price tag of the entire project. It is the most expensive rail project at the moment that I can find anywhere in the world at over $1 billion per mile. Included in that proposal, the Oregon Transit Organization is asking for 19 brand new light rail vehicles. A little bit of quick math says that is 10 light rail vehicles per mile. Oh my goodness. The reality of that is that over 30 years ago, this transit organization bought brand new light rail vehicles that are now well beyond their projected life. They should have been buying these a long time ago, and they want taxpayers, federal taxpayers and Washington taxpayers, to help replace light rail vehicles that they have needed to buy for a long time. In the IBR, they are hoping to get $1 billion from the Federal Transit Administration. The FTA rules allow them to pay up to half the capital costs of a major transit project. Well, that leaves $1 billion unfunded, half of which go to Washington state and half in Oregon. In reality, this project was funded in 2022 by the states of Oregon and Washington. My amendment would free up potentially $500 million of Washington taxpayer money that, as we have heard this morning, are much, much needed for projects all around our state. And I believe our taxpayers want us to spend their money in our state. This would go an awful long way to meeting the desires of our taxpayers when we know transportation dollars are incredibly scarce, Madam Speaker. An additional component of this entire discussion is the fact that that Oregon Transportation Agency is also asking Washington taxpayers to fund part of their annual operations and maintenance costs, and that is a separate debate. But this body needs to understand there are so many facets of this, but voting yes for this amendment would free up to $500 million of our taxpayers' money. And finally, I would just like to say this amendment does not prohibit light rail or any form of transit from being part of the Interstate Bridge Replacement Program. What it says, if Oregon wants their light rail to come into Washington state, they must pay for it. Please vote yes, Madam Speaker, on this amendment.